down. Do you see it?
Yeah.
And if you click on the attendees, you can see their names. Hello and welcome. We're so excited to have you here. My name is Krista Murphy. I am a project director at WestEd, and I'm joined today by two of my wonderful colleagues, Corey and Monica. Corey, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name's Corey Schmidt. I'm an infant toddler specialist with the Program for Infant Toddler Care and also an instructor with Family Child Care at its Best. Glad to have you here.
And Monica.
Yes, my name is Monica Hernandez, and I'm infant and toddler specialist with PITC, WestEd, and an instructor with Family Child Care is the Best since, I think, 2014. So I am very happy to be here.
Great, thank you. And it is my great pleasure as one of my roles at WestEd to coordinate the Family Child Care at its Best program. And as Monica shared, the program has been with us for quite some time. So it's a little bit new to WestEd, but Family Child Care at its Best has been in California for over 20 years with wonderful research-based curriculum to serve family child care, family friend, and neighbor, and also open to providers who serve children in mixed age groups, but our primary target audience is family child care and family friend and neighbor. So before we jump into our math specific content today, I did want to share a little bit about the Family Child Care at its Best program. So I'm sharing with you here a screenshot from our website. Please do go to fccbtraining.org. That's our Family Child Care at its Best website, where you can learn lots about our program, including how to access the workshops that we provide. So screen grab here of our landing page, which you'll see we offer facilitator training as well as direct service workshops. So high level, really quickly wanted to share about those two offerings. We have a curriculum of 21 topics, and you can submit a request through the workshop for WestEd to provide one or more of those topic workshops directly to your audience. So we work with resource and referral agencies, QCC agencies, also county offices of education, local community agencies, and really anyone who has a group of family child care or family friend and neighbor providers who would like us to come in and provide some free professional development. That's right. Let me say that again. Free professional development. Thanks to generous funding from the California Department of Social Services, we are able to offer this at no charge to attendees. So you can go to the website, see more information about all of the topics we offer, as well as it will open in August. So you'll have an opportunity to request workshops for the coming school year. The other piece that I wanted to highlight is we have newly launched this year facilitator training. So we are now able to bring small cohorts of community trainers through a workshop that introduces you to the Family Child Care at its Best curriculum, teaches you a little bit more about our target audience and some adult learning, facilitating diverse groups strategies, and then we take you through a curriculum topic, and after you complete that training, you have permission to offer that topic directly to your own groups. And again, on that Family Child Care at its Best training, fccbtraining.org website, you can learn more about those offerings as well. So today, we wanted to give you a taste of one of our workshops, and Corey and Monica are seasoned trainers on all of our Family Child Care at its Best curriculum, and they are excited to take you through highlights of our Building Numeracy Skills and Beyond workshop.
Thank you, Krista. So as Krista mentioned, this is a taste. So this workshop, when offered in full, would be 5 hours long. Today, of course, we've selected some portions to share with you. We will be hopping a little bit between training the content for you and then a little sidebar of this is what it would look like in a full workshop, just so you can get a little taste because you won't get the full experience here.
Corey, and it's important to mention that the workshops are offered in English and in Spanish, right? We have that variety. Okay, just to mention that.
Thank you. Okay, Krista, next one. Thank you. So each of our workshops begin with workshop agreements. This is because we approach our participants in a respectful manner. We highlight their professionalism, their adult learning needs, which are, different than if we're working directly with children. So these workshop agreements, we always begin with this so that we have a foundation of understanding and expectations. I'm not going to go through each one right now in the interest of time, but you can see them on the screen. And I just want to take this moment to point out that there will be a few times today that you have an opportunity to respond in chat to a conversation that we're having. If for some reason on the device that you're on, you're not able to access the chat or you can't get in quick enough, don't worry, you're not being tested. It's just an opportunity for some engagement and to be able to have you give some feedback as we're going through the content. So just a note on that to be ready if you do have access to the chat. Thank you, Krista. All right. Also, each of our topics is driven by learning objectives. We always begin with all of the learning objectives at the beginning. And then throughout each section of the course, there are learning objectives for each course. And what this does is it builds a framework for adult learners to be able to prepare their mind to take in the information that they'll have and put it together with the information that they already know. So the learning objectives that we've selected, of course, this is not all of them from the 5-hour workshop, but the ones we've selected are that in this topic, we want to understand children's mathematical achievement and competencies and practices, specifically in early childhood. We want to think about curriculum planning. What does it mean to plan curriculum for preschool age children who will be exploring with materials, whose learning is driven through play and supported by our interactions? What does that look like for curriculum planning? Also, we want to be able to plan integrated learning environments, recognizing that what we choose to place in the environment based on their interests and the goals that we have in mind really can support the development of mathematical knowledge. We want to consider child-guided learning experiences and adult-guided teaching strategies. So you see the learning experiences are guided by the children. The teaching strategies come from the adult. And so we'll think a little bit today, but more so, of course, in the full workshop about what that looks like. And finally, consider what does it mean to extend mathematical learning to parents and to meet parents where they are when they may or may not have some negative connotations with math learning or their own math experiences in the past. So these are the objectives that we'll hit on a little bit today.
Thank you, Corey. Thank you. And now we are going to focus in ways to increase our observation skill, to give a math opportunities that are fun and developmentally appropriate for the children in our program. I want that you select a picture. We want to show you some picture. Each picture shows an example of common activities children engage in childcare program. Use the picture for the following. Make note of the material children are using. List math conversation that may be taking place. And list items that you currently have in your program that could be used in similar ways. And I want to ask you please write in the chat. I'm going to give you a moment for each picture, and you can reflect about the material children are using and reflect about the conversation that may be taking place in each picture. Okay, so that is important. The thing in your program that could be used in the similar way, the items that you have in your program already, but now we are going to observe that with a mathematic thinking. Okay, let's see. You are welcome to write in the chat the material that children are using. What do you think the math conversation that may be taking place right now in that picture? You can list some items that you currently have in your program that could be used in similar ways. reflect a little bit and share with us in that chat. Corey, you could please help me reading the chat box. That will be helpful to start reflecting about the conversation.
Sure. Thank you, Michelle. So pointing out geometric shapes in the toys.
Mhm.
Absolutely. In the materials.
Exactly. Absolutely. And what do you think the conversation could be? Any idea about that? How about next picture?
Another comment, magnet tiles is another similar material. Yes, tangrams, magnet tiles. And it's wonderful to have multiple pieces
Exactly.
that may be used, multi-age group. So you see different colors and sizes, lots of opportunity to make note of those and while playing. Asking children, what can we create? Is a good question.
That's a good question.
Next picture.
Please. What conversation may be taking place with the blood? Look at the face, the expression. Probably you have these materials already in your programs. Different colors.
What else could we use to build? Oh, what could you add? Thank you.
Exactly.
I think about direction. Michelle, thank you. Talking about stacking, how many squares can you stack? So integrating that counting in the conversation in a meaningful way. How do they feel when you touch them? Thank you, Elda.
That's another very good question. And do you see how we can start with mathematical thinking? So, and give it that focus. That is very important, that we're planning for an interaction with a mathematical meaning. Thank you. Let's go with next picture. How about this picture? Probably you have this item in your programs and you are using that in similar ways.
I see you picked all the squares or all the rectangles. Yes, parallel talk, noting what the children are doing, what you see. Sorting shapes. Oh, you picked the circle. The star fits in that hole. Thank you, Carolyn.
Thank you.
One thing I appreciate about this picture is that there are shapes that only fit in one hole. There are little puffballs that fit in any hole.
So that gives more opportunity, right, Corey, for the children to learn in their own way. So, yes, very spontaneous.
Spatial awareness, absolutely. Figuring size. Does it fit? Does it turn? Do I turn it this way? How many? Thank you, Michelle. In a family child care program I worked with once, I remember an 18-month-old sat for 45 minutes pushing those little puffballs into a little wiffle ball until it was so full. And It was wonderful to watch all of the mathematical thinking and problem solving. What shape matches with this pom-pom? Comparing.
It's a good one.
Mhm.
Let's go with the next picture and the last. Yeah. Look at that. What do you think the conversation that they are having over there? Probably that you are using a different materials doing this measurement. Mhm.
I think of concepts: empty, full, scoop, pour.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Dumping and pouring. Mhm.
Mhm.
And what rich conversation can take place while through this exploration and active play, asking
Exactly.
questions or noticing.
That's true. Mhm. Thank you. Thank you very much for all your comments. Thank you, Corey.
Mhm. Oh, Elda has one more. The sounds when the materials go in different containers. So noticing some sensory input and perception. Thank you, Elda. Okay, Monica.
Thank you, Corey, for helping me to read that. And let's go covering the key points. Mathematics have many real-world applications, and it's used frequently in our day-to-day lives. So we need to realize that math are around of world, you know. Young children have an intuitive understanding of mathematics that develop through play experiences, interaction, and observation. So let's focus more on observation and realize that interaction are very important, and we need to have a think and reflect and plan in that interaction. Okay, and adults underestimate children's math abilities. Let's reflect about that. Research shows that high quality mathematics education can and should be begin early. Caregivers can help children learn more than just numbers. They can help children develop an understanding of other mathematical concepts, such as measurement and geometry. Please feel free during all this workshop to continue sharing your opinion in the chat, okay? Thank you, Corey.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Monica. So just like the learning objectives help us build a framework, the key points help support that framework as well as we're learning content. So we're going to move into a section of this big, larger workshop, and we'll support some of those key points as we're going through. So the California Department of Education created an easy-to-use resource, which is, you'll see in my little picture here, the California Preschool Learning Foundations. Math is in the green section. They're all color-coded. This was designed to support age-appropriate competencies for preschool children. It's a useful tool to guide and implement developmentally appropriate curriculum. Most of us don't remember our education when we were 3 or 4 years old. I maybe remember actually wanting to play with the fire truck that another child had. I remember that from preschool. That's the only thing I actually have a conscious memory of. But we don't often remember how we learned or played that supported our math development. So we need these foundations to really help us keep our expectations developmentally appropriate and keep our curriculum planning and our environments developmentally appropriate as well.
Mm-hmm.
Next slide. Thank you. So why do we focus on foundations? This mathematics section does highlight foundations, which are skills and competencies that we would anticipate preschool children to learn during this during this period. And so why would we focus on foundations? There was some debate actually when this book came out about some people feeling very strongly that foundations may create a narrow or rigid requirement for mastery, and that's not how we want to approach math education for preschool children. Instead, and this is the lens I invite you to look through, they're intended to be flexible guidelines that provide a map for supporting learning goals and child explorations. So I highlight a few here of reasons why we'd want to focus on foundations. Number one, they support children's abilities. So this is strength-based, based on their explorations. They offer guidance on developmentally appropriate learning. Next, provides insight for appropriate expectations. I've said this word a few times because I think this is just so important, that we really do expect play. We expect exploration. We expect discovery, not rote memorization at the preschool age. Next, these foundations can be used as a tool to share with parents. Parents may come to us, as I mentioned earlier, with negative experiences associated with math. We'll talk more about that toward the end of this workshop. But we want to help share with parents what's happening in the classroom, the joy of learning, the joy of discovery and exploration. And we want to use that to promote home learning experiences. And the guidelines can help us do that. When we share foundations with parents, they are able to see, oh, I don't need to teach my child these very specific math skills. I can play with them. And we'll talk about some strategies for that later. Also promotes math learning as part of the whole child development, recognizing that at this age, math is not a discrete development area that they're learning at one time. They're also developing in all of the other areas at the same time. So recognizing that this is a part of the whole. So, next slide. So in the foundations, there are 5 developmental strands. The definition for mathematics is the search for sense and meaning, patterns and relationships, order and predictability. When I hear that definition, I'm not yet sure what to do with preschoolers. And so the foundations are divided into these 5 developmental strands, and we'll go into a little bit more depth with these strands. Algebra and functions, don't be scared when you hear algebra. Geometry, mathematical reasoning, measurement, and number sense. With this little direction, without the developmental strands, we have difficulty maybe implementing, but with direction and understanding the developmental strands, we could really support play and exploration in the math area. So we're going to focus on the competencies. So first one we're going to look at with the developmental strands is number sense. Thank you. So number sense, what does that mean? Numbers can be used to tell us how many, describe the order, we can measure, they involve numerous relations and can be represented in different ways. So it doesn't always have to be represented by an actual number. It can be represented in more or less concepts. From the photos that we looked at earlier, we looked at child stacking blocks into a tower. Lots of conversation about number sense can support that. How many blocks do we have? Which one should we put on top, the blue one or the green one? Well, we've talked about a concept, top. We don't have to say point to which direction is the top. It's just natural in supporting the play. Operations with numbers can be used to model a variety of real world situations and to solve problems. And of course, this is what we see in later learning with math, but those concepts develop early in play and exploration. And on to algebra and functions. So again, don't be scared by the word algebra. When we're talking about preschool, we're thinking about classification, patterns, sorting. These are the materials we often have that have many colors or different shapes or different attributes. These lend themselves naturally to play that involves sorting and classifications. When we notice relationships, we can extend those relationships. We can generalize those relationships. We can sort and categorize, and this supports the development of algebra and function thinking. Geometry. So I think back to that picture with the tangrams. Geometry can be used to understand and support the objects, directions, and locations in our world. So are you going to put it on top, next to, On the other side, below, what shapes can we put together? Geometric shapes can be described, analyzed, they can be transformed so they can be changed. A square can become a triangle when you fold it in half, or when you cover half of it, or a triangle can be placed on top of a square and recognize that there's another triangle on the other side. So geometry can be found simply through play, but really thinking about the objects, directions and locations, shapes. Thank you. Next, measurement, comparing and measuring. So this is when we think about how much. So this could be in length. How long is it? It can also be how much does it weigh? How large is it? So how much of an attribute an object possesses. We can use tools for measurement. Could be tools with numbers like rulers. Could be tools with, could be just measuring how many counting bears does it take to get from here to the door. It can be, my younger son used to not want to do math with me. We homeschool have for the last couple of years. But when we built a catapult, well, he was ready to measure how far those puffballs would fly across the room and which puffball goes the furthest. So lots of opportunities for measurement in play, and it means so much more. And there's a place to put it in the brain when it's meaningful in play. So thank you. After measurement, we have mathematical reasoning. So children use mathematical reasoning to solve problems. Their reasoning tends to be intuitive just based on what they're experiencing. But the more they experience, the more they develop clarity in their thinking. So then they can predict how the problem will be solved rather than try every possible solution. When I was working with toddlers, we had a toddler who dropped her Elmo hair clip down a grate. And well, you can imagine how devastated she was. And so we had to figure out how are we going to get this Elmo clip out of the grate. So we ended up finding the fishing game that has a magnet. And so it was this whole process of problem solving. But can you imagine? She was 2. Can you imagine the mathematical conversations that were had? I hope you can, because it was pretty amazing. Well, how far down is it? How long does our string need to be? Will this magnet fit through the grate? Do we need a smaller magnet? What happens when the magnet catches on the clip? Will the clip fit back, or do we need to turn it? All of this is mathematical thinking, and it's just based in solving real world problems that the child is experiencing. Children who are engaged in meaningful learning experiences show great interest. They share their ideas, they share their investigations with others. And so this is why we talk about the value of play, the value of exploration, and the role of the adult is simply as the go-getter. Oh, I have a magnet fishing pole. I'll go get it. Oh, you need a popsicle stick? I have those in the closet, to be ready for what comes about in the play. Thank you. We can go on. So in a moment, we'll have a reflective activity with a couple of questions. But first, I want to read for you a little scenario that just illustrates mathematical thinking and that can come up in natural day-to-day experiences. So I'm going to read this scenario, this anecdote for you. Erica, a child, wanted to create a homemade book, just like this one, she said. There were 8. Erica held a paper book in her hands. Her caregiver helped her count the number of pages in the book. There were 8 pages in total. Erica ran to the art area and returned with a stack of paper. She counted 6 pieces in total. You have 6 pieces, but need 8 to make your book. How many more pieces do you think you need? Her caregiver asked. Erica paused and slowly held up 2 fingers. That's right, Erica. How did you know that? Erica looked blankly at her caregiver and shrugged her shoulders. This is where it's intuitive. The question of why or how did you know, they may not know, but they have the foundation of the mathematical thinking to support the actual solving of the problem. So I'm going to share with you a couple of questions here. They're not on the slide, so I'll invite you to just listen to the questions. You're not going to have to answer them. If you do have an answer, you're welcome to put it in the chat. But just kind of think about these questions. In our full 5-hour workshop, The reflective activity would be an entire activity that we do, but we're just being thoughtful about our time here today. So the questions, which of those developmental strands, which we would refer to as knowledge and skills, feel most familiar and comfortable to implement in your work with young children, or if you support providers who work with young children? Which of the strands would you like to learn more about to feel more comfortable implementing them in your work with young children? Which of the mathematics strands would you like to focus on most in your current childcare program? How and when can I plan to acquire resources for learners in languages other than English or dual language learners related to these developmental strands? How do I modify my implementation planning to meet the needs of all children? So these are examples of reflective questions we would really spend some good time on in the 5-hour workshop. Today, it's just a little taste to really think about, well, which one do I feel most comfortable with? Which one would I be interested in exploring more? So we'll move on now to a brief activity. Again, in the 5-hour workshop, we would spend more time. This would be, if we were in person, it would be hands-on for you, moving materials. If we were virtual in the 5-hour workshop, this would be you manipulating the Jamboard that we're going to show. Of course, today, in the interest of time, we will manipulate our Jamboard for you. So what we have here is our 5 developmental strands plus a 6th category, integrated mathematics environments, recognizing that what we place in the environment intentionally can support the learning that children are engaged in. And what we select for the environment would be based, of course, on their interest. What kinds of explorations have they been doing? But the environment can certainly support their learning. So what we have then on the yellow sticky notes is examples of materials that you may have in the classroom. Now, in the full 5-hour workshop, we'd have a pretty big stack of yellow sticky notes and figure out which developmental strand those materials may fit into. Today, we have 1 for each category, just thinking about our time. So what we're going to do is take some time, and I will invite you to give some feedback in the chat. This is not meant to be a gotcha. This is just a thinking exercise. So when you see maps and diagrams, we could probably have some great conversation about that may fit in multiple categories, but we're going to pick one category that we'll put it in today that it supports. So of those 6 developmental strands plus environments in blue that you see, which one do you think maps and diagrams would support? So I'll invite you now to just add one of those categories to the chat. We'll see what kind of responses we get, and then we'll move it for you. I wish you could move it yourself.
Yeah. Let's see.
To add to the chat, which category do you think it might support? While we're letting you have a chance to think, I just think of other examples of maps that can be meaningful, talking about maps of the neighborhood, maps of the classroom. It doesn't have to be, maps that are bigger than the children's world. I see geometry and spatial.
Yes, Corey, geometry and spatial.
Sense, measurement. You can use maps and diagrams in so many ways. Just like I said, we could argue that this would fit in many categories.
Exactly.
Measurement. Thank you for being willing to throw out some ideas. So we had it categorized under integrated mathematics environments, but I argue that you're all right, because geometry in terms of how far things are and what, looking at the different pieces of diagrams, measurement, all of this would fit. So, but for the purposes of this exercise, we'll put it under environments. Thank you. And the next one, tangram pieces. We've touched on that a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
So go ahead and throw your thoughts into the chat. Which category do you think tangram pieces may fit into?
sometimes it's hard to get familiar with this math concept, right, Corey? And because we are not used to implement it in that daily routine of the children. And it's the point of this workshop, right? How important is to integrate the mathematical words in our daily routine.
Into our daily, yeah, thank you. Yeah, and some of the concepts may be new or a little bit different ways of thinking of things. And so this is why we do have activities to manipulate and kind of challenge us to think. So Tangram, as we mentioned earlier, will fit that into geometry. So what we have is different pieces of different shapes that can fit together in different ways. And so Tangram pieces, we would fit there. However, if I line up the Tangram pieces to measure something, it's a tool for measurement. So yeah, lots of different ways to make these fit. So the next one, tools for recording data, clipboards, paper, pencils, crayons, markers, chalk. Where do you think it might fit? You can throw it in the chat box. If you have a thought.
Markers.
Sometimes it can be a little hard to throw ideas in the chat because we don't want to be wrong and I don't want to put you in that position. So we'll move tools for recording data to mathematical reasoning. So to support children's thinking in how could you write that down? How could you document what your process is? Okay, the next one, materials with visual patterns. So toys in bright colors and black and white, dress-up clothes, curtains, upholstery. We have 3 categories left: number sense, measurement, and algebra and functions. Any thoughts about oh, thank you, Krista. Any thoughts about which category that may fit into? I think one of the key words here is patterns. So materials with visual patterns. When we think about patterns or classification or sorting, we'll fit that into algebra and functions. So when we think about algebra and functions, we're really recognizing what goes together, what attributes may fit together. And it could be patterns and sorting in terms of the color of items, blue, red, or it could be classification in terms of the baby doll, the baby blanket, and the baby bottle all go together. And that's classification. So when we think of, when it's mentioned here, dress-up clothes, that creates some sense of which items go together. Okay, we have 2 categories and 2 sticky notes left. Anybody want to add to the chat session? Now's your chance to 50-50. Containers in graduated sizes. I am a real pushover when it comes to storage containers or things that fit together. We don't have a container store here, but it's probably a good thing because I would enjoy that. So in this exercise, we'll call that measurement because we can find out how much fits. Mm-hmm. If the pieces are larger, do fewer of them fit in the container? If the pieces are smaller, do more fit in the container? How many more fit in this one than that one? Lots of opportunities to explore mathematic measurement concepts. Thank you. Okay, tell me you're here and take a guess. Please tell me you're here. Take a guess. Which category is this one going to fit? Things with numbers on them, like calculators, playing cards, simple board games with dice or spinners. Which category? Oh, all right. Number sense. I know that we have a very old calculator that prints on the spool of paper. And let me tell you, that is a favorite because not only can you punch the numbers and get the sensory feedback from the buttons, you also get the really cool sound of it printing on the paper. And then you get a record of all that you've done. And very, very great, really great feedback when exploring with something like that. So, of course, we know preschool teachers would never let that go. that would stay in the repertoire. Thank you, Krista. We'll go back to our PowerPoint here and let Monica.
Thank you, Corey. Like, I think connecting math with real experience is easily achieved through dramatic play. Sometimes I know they use in the family childcare setting and center, they are used all these concepts, but sometimes it's hard to introduce that word in our daily words. Okay, so that's very important to observe and to make a plan for that word to be in our daily routines, So now we are going to show you a video where I want that you pay attention to how the play materials and adult support promote and facilitate math competencies. Okay, so I want that you focus in the materials and the adult support, and remember that chat is open to share your ideas. Let's focus on the video and see for these play materials and adult support, the interaction for the adult that are very important and are the key. Let's watch the video.
I'm here to buy some shoes. Who's manning the shoe store?
What size?
What size do you think I need?
I don't get it. I would get it.
4.5. A 4.5.
No, that's a 5.5. Like,
I need a 4.5.
4.5.
Do you have any 4.5 shoes in black?
16. That's
Do you have any black 4.5 shoes? I'm going to a party. I need a black pair. You want me to put my foot back in there again? You need me to measure it again? You can do my foot? Put my foot on it? What size do you think I need that for? A 2? What size do you think I need? $3.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're giving me some money to buy my shoes? $5. Okay, I get to give you $5? Here you go. Can I measure your foot?
$1.
What you said was only $5.
Give me another $1.
Another $1?
Pass.
Here, put your foot on there so we can see what size you need. Heaven, all the way to the end. What size does she need, Heaven?
5.
A 5? This is where her foot is? She thinks she needs a 5?
I think she needs a 2.
She needs a 2. Do you have any size 2 shoes back there? I'm buying some for my daughter.
Number 2.
That's number 2?
Yeah.
Number 2. Okay, here. You like these shoes? Okay. Here you go. How much do I owe you for these shoes? $2,000. I have $20. Can I pay $20? Receipt, I sure do. Can you write me a receipt out? You're giving me another pair of shoes?
Yeah.
I really need a black pair.
Okay, I'll go.
Deshaun, I need a black pair of shoes. Do you have any black pair back there?
Wonderful, huh? What materials do you see that support mathematical concept? Could you please share that in the chat? Because the environment, we can make a lot of things. The children are ready to the play. If they have the sharing ready for math, they are ready to make the interaction. They are ready to talk. They are ready to play. Do you see the material that they use? How about the interaction?
Louise, I see that. That makes me miss working with children directly. Absolutely. Isn't it such joy to share these moments with children?
Exactly. Do you see that? And there are real shoes for the people, right? Cory, not the Cinderella shoes, not the Snow White shoes. No, it's for my mom probably. And it's a good idea to ask parents to bring a lot of things from their family. The key is to connect learning with meaningful experiences with the children. And who is meaningful for them? Their families. Probably interacting when in my dad is a doctor, let's bring something about the doctor thing. So dramatic play is a gift, and introduce mathematical words in this setting is very important for children. So we need to promote that competencies and learn about the environment and reflect about our environments and how we can make this meaningful for children and start using the mathematical concept through play. Thank you. Any comment in the chat, Cory? No, right?
No, just Louise's comment about missing playing with children. Can I add a comment, actually?
Sure.
When you talked about the value of asking parents to bring shoes, it just makes me think about, when we talk about having the environment reflect the culture of the children, and how sometimes our ideas of representing culture can be maybe narrow, but representing the family, just inviting the family to bring shoes can bring the home into the classroom in such a meaningful way. And if I wasn't interested in playing in the shoe store before, but my mom's shoes are in there, I'm interested now. So thank you, Monica.
Thank you, Cory. You mentioned it a lot of that made sense for me, to having the presence of the family in the center or in the family child care is essential for the children to learn. And sometimes when I see all these concepts that you just present to us, it's like, what? I just really, it's like somebody put a chip in our brain that math, and no, math is around us and they are beautiful. If we start with the children to introduce math at an early age, they will love it and will be ready to use it in elementary school and other grades, right? Thank you, Cory. So I would like that you think and reflect a little bit about the importance of planning meaningful play experiences for young children. Observation of the children plays can provide insight into emerging interests and investigation. So the observation is the key, as you see in this video, and be there. For example, if somebody went to the grocery store this past weekend or yesterday, so I start thinking about how the numbers were showing there. So how I can connect with the children probably on Monday. What did you do during the weekend? Oh, I went to the store. Intentionally prepare the question, right? And what did you buy? And how much that costs? And a lot of ideas that come when you are thinking and planning the mathematical rich play. Okay, so if you want to share some ideas about what do you do in your family child care, in your center, you are welcome to share in the chat. They can write in the chat, right, Corey? They can, they are open. The chat is open for them because it's I don't see any comment, but probably some question. What did they see? What did they do? Numbers, shapes. So all these conversations are key with children and introducing the numbers for them.
Thank you. And I think the the chat was frozen for me before. I do see another comment. Meaningful and culturally appropriate for them. The different colors of shoes, writing a receipt, talking about cost, negotiating price. So just a couple comments there, which relate to the video, but also this intentionally planning, thinking about what are all the different ways that I can bring math into the real play. So thank you. My chat was frozen, so they didn't all come across until now.
Probably that happened to mine, right? Because yes, thank you, Corey. Thank you so much. So our focus is planning this interaction and remember relationship with the child and introducing the family into the learning is the key. If they have any pet, if they what they do, what is essential for early age children. So thank you. So now we are going to go to the next slide and share with you the California Early Math Project. It's a website that offers educators and parents ideas for planning early math. So I really encourage you to go and explore this web that includes book reviews, which introduce early math concepts and activities to teach early math and to young children. So the Early Math Project website is a link that they can use for educators, and that is a lot of recording for the recent training, and also show us how math developed in ages for birth through 8. So for birth. So it's very important that we explore and be prepared for that. It's a very good resource. I just want to mention that before we continue. Corey, feel free to share with me if there is a question or anything in the chat, okay?
Will do.
Thank you. Infant and toddler learn by exploring new objects with their hands and mouths. Remember, that is like around 8 months where the child wants to introduce everything in the mouth. So that is a sign that they are learning math. So the block and everything they want to go into the mouth is because that's the way the child is learning. Toddlers can use geometric information about the shape of their environment to find objects. And again, the environment and the thing that we place around of the children is our responsibility as a teacher, right? So it's very important to observe my environment and reflect about, let me think what I am introducing to help the child to develop this math concept. What are my interaction words that I am using with them? So now that we know that math, we could talk about math since early as in the beginning, early age, from birth to 8. So these resources that I share with you, that's very important, and be prepared for that part. So supporting learning with infant and toddler by using math language during play and everyday experiences, putting meaning to the term that they use. Like, for example, more, you want more milk? Do you want more cookies? Or how many cookies we have in here? Or like the child, right? How old are you? 1. So numbers, if you are making a reflection about that, numbers are everywhere and the math concepts are around us. So the key part is like intentionally doing this interaction.
Monica, may I add a comment about
Sure.
infants and toddlers that just came to mind while you were talking
Please.
about putting in the mouth? I've noticed with the California Infant and Toddler Learning Foundations, when we look at the videos that show typical play or interactions that demonstrate development in the different areas, you'll see a pattern that for infants, for young infants, holding the toys, banging the toys together in the mouth, it's the same type of video clip for problem solving, cause and effect, spatial relationships, because this is how they learn. And when we were looking at the photos earlier and someone made a comment of what they would say, and it was a parallel talk comment where you're describing what the child is doing. And this is where we highlight the learning that's happening when they put it in their mouth using I said parallel play. I meant to say parallel talk. Using parallel talk to highlight, oh, you put the round ball in your mouth. I can see you like feeling it with your tongue. So we're using parallel talk and we're giving language to the experience that they're having. And this supports the mathematical thinking. So anyway, it came to mind because a couple things came together while you were talking. Thank you.
Thank you. And adding that to the parallel talk, Cory, that is very important, the self-talk, right? So describing the child that I am going to change your diaper and your diaper, and it's one diaper. So you can add that diaper. You want to help me with your diaper? Okay, let's go to the table. And you want to go up and down? Or this concept and everyday routine. So how many diapers do you change during the day? So imagine, so the number one and the concept of one, how many times is going to be introduced during the day? So that is the little things through the routine that can help to introduce the math in early ages. Okay.
And one more comment, Monica, I'm sorry.
Sure.
It was mentioned in the chat box. Thank you for mentioning the learning foundations. And I do want to point out earlier in the workshop, I pointed out the preschool foundations. And I'm sorry, I don't have the book on me because I'm not in my own office right now. I have probably 100 copies of it. I could have just grabbed it if I were. The Infant and Toddler Learning and Development Foundations for those. Oh, thank you, Monica. Right
here.
The Infant and Toddler Learning and Development Foundations, for those of you who maybe don't have as much experience with infants and toddlers or you're interested in looking more, this is the resource to go to. And you can find it free online. California Department of Education, which now is under CDSS, but that was created under CDE, Infant and Toddler Learning and Development Foundations, and it'll come up. It's available for free online. So I invite you to take a look at those foundations as well to see what does this look like for infants and toddlers in math and beyond as well. So thank you.
Thank you. No, that is our collaboration. So, and we are going to continue, Cory, and I know you have a lot of experiences in our coaching time, Cory, about how sometimes it's very hard to let the child guide versus adult guide, right? So it's very difficult because sometimes I know that a lot of agencies or they ask for a curriculum. And I need to follow the step, but the child is not ready to follow that step, and he or she wants to do another thing. And when they are interested in implementing their own way through play, it's everything easier, right? Because they are interested in learning. If I try to do the curriculum in my way because I planned that day all, I don't know, painting with green, but the child choose red. So how I can be flexible and let the child guide and have them to experience meaningful experience that are based in their own interests. And they are the way they are learning. Mm-hmm. Right, Cory? Yeah.
Absolutely.
So all this reflection and development of intentional teaching incorporate all uniqueness, abilities, needs, and desires as an individual human being as a parent with other in their environment. So I invite you to reflect about how I can help that child to use and to be following their own curriculum rather than mine. So some question that could help, thank you, Krista, like reflecting on what are the words I am using with them. And the next question that Krista is going to show us, I have the experience for some providers that they write down the question and sometimes they put in the inbox card and have it in the hands or ready to use and ask a following question like, could you please show, yes, question like, how many more are in this group? And do you see it's for our workbook and page 56 is the one that we use in our regular training for family child care is the best. So that are key question. And we can start practicing tomorrow, on Monday, because it's Friday. So on Monday, you can start practicing this question. And is there any other way to show? Can you show me another way to make what number come after? Or before? What will happen if I put 10 more with this number? 10 less. How many are hidden? You have told me that 5 and 6 are part of 11. Do you think there are more than 10 in this set or less than 10? Or about 10? Do you think there are more than 100 in this set or less than 100? How many are there in? How about how many beans are in my hand? So introducing all these questions through play and make that child reflect is a gift. It's a gift for them to start establishing a relationship with math, with math, and feel good about. So, and again, if you start reflecting and thinking how I can introduce and how I can make my own plan to be part of this curriculum. Right, Corey? Any comment, Corey? You are welcome.
No, thank you. I do love your suggestion, just to, as many do with open-ended questions, write the questions on a strip, put it on the wall or put it on your clipboard, just because sometimes in the moment we get stuck in quizzing mode. Oh, what color is this? What number is this? How many are these? But there are so many other questions along the lines of open-ended questions that we can use. And if we provide these prompts for ourselves in the environment, we can refer to them when we need them. I really love that suggestion that you gave.
And work very well. In my experience, when the program that I have been, that hopefully in August we can come back on our used to be routine coaching directly with our provider. So that is a part very important and that work. So it's a very good strategy. But now I would like that you think and some strategies that you can implement. So think about what are some strategies that you already use to prompt mathematical thinking and what are some new strategies that you may try. I really want that you share that with us because sometimes it's very good to learn from each other. And I know you are doing that and you are practicing and you have a lot of ideas. So please share that with us in the chat and we can share your strategies. Corey, let me know if you see any comment. And
Sure, not yet. People may be typing, or the chat box may be frozen, like it was. That's always
yeah,
possible.
because mine is frozen.
Oh. There we go. We do. It was frozen. Learning is happening. Oh, putting things in their mouths. Yes, some comments from earlier. One-to-one correspondence. Learning Foundations is a great resource. Math and meals. Let me scroll down. This, we're so used to Zoom that this new platform.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. All right. So, and Chris has put the questions. Okay, thank you. So those comments were from earlier. Like the idea of having questions handy. Yes. Don't we all need a script when we're learning a new skill? A script to get us started.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Elda, for that. Any others? What are some strategies you already use to promote mathematical thinking, or some strategies? Yeah, Krista says, Elena, please share more about math and meals. What do you have in mind?
Oh, wow. The routine of meals is wonderful opportunity. Like, look at that. How many beans do you have in your plate? Oh, cookies. Oh, my God. And again, it's like the diaper change, It's every day, and you can have a meaningful experience through that time of meal. So breakfast, lunch, it's reflective activity for the children, and a very good opportunity to implement math concept through routines. Is the best way, because remember, the children learn through sense. If I touch, if I taste, if I listen, and I have to do it. So every child has sometimes the learning style. So if I observe them and see, okay, I see he loves strawberries. Okay, let's introduce math through strawberries. How many strawberries do you want today? 1, 2? And it's planning and make that intentional. That learning has to be intentional and implement in our daily routines. But remember, follow the child guide. So let him guide us for their own interest. That is the key for learning. If I implement my own ideas, probably they want to do the thing that you want they do, but the learning is not going to be the same. Mm-hmm. For sure. Right, Corey?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Monica. I see more comments in the chat. Sorry, the scrolling is a little challenging to get, so it takes me a second here. Setting the table is another. Elda has seen providers set materials out and let the children lead the mathematical conversation. Absolutely. That's why intentional planning of the environment can support so much. During meals and cooking experiences, so measuring, having conversations through that. Counting bears, balancing bears on a foil boat. How fun is that to make a foil boat and then use it as your balancing tool? Having 4 groups, so 1 out of 4 plates would get placed to each person. Let me just see if there's more. Oh, yes. How many pieces? Watermelon triangles. Mm-hmm. 3 meals in the day. Also a comment about mentioning the 5 senses. When we look at the Infant and Toddler Learning Foundation's perceptual motor development, it's not just fine motor and gross motor, it's perception development as well, which is the integration of what the 5 senses are taking in and how those tell the brain what to do. And so absolutely, the 5 senses are connected in every way. How many are left? Cheerios, strung on a string. Let me just try to, it's a little challenging to grab that scroll button. I think I got to the bottom.
I just remember the video that we showed in our 5 full training, that workshop that we do when this with this presentation about the cookies. There is a video very interesting about how much that child, how many things they learn through a cup of milk and a few cookies. And look at the key, interaction that teacher plan. So the support of the adult is the key, because it's easy to have cookies, a bag of cookies and the milk. But now there is the magic. You are the magic as a teacher, and your role is very important. And planning this interaction, that will be the key to, again, the child start loving math. Right. Okay. Thank you, Corey. If it's on, I don't know if I saw their comment in the chat. If no,
I see 5 crackers, squares, 4 squares, crackers. So lots of geometric shapes found in the food. So thank you, Elena. Great examples there. All right, we'll move on to the concept of partnering with parents. And as I mentioned earlier, math can create a feeling of apprehension for parents, perhaps based on their own experiences. And sometimes parents may unintentionally send messages to children that limit their, that discourage them about their potential achievement. Like, oh, we don't get math in our family, or, oh, I always struggled with math, so you may too. So recognizing that what parents bring is their own real experience. And we want to approach them respectfully, recognizing that that's their experience, but we can't leave it there. We need to then also say, and here's how math learning can look. And all of the examples that we've talked about today in this, so far, almost hour and 15 minutes, these are examples that when shared with parents can open up the vision of what math learning can look like, and recognizing, oh, I can talk about that at dinner. I don't have to get a worksheet. I don't have to have flashcards. I can talk about that at dinner, or I can make some noticing during our playtime. And so we have a role to extend math learning into the home. We do that through sharing resources with parents, like the Early Math Project that was shared earlier. allaboutyoungchildren.org is another great resource. If you've never been there, write it down, allaboutyoungchildren.org. It's available in multiple languages. As soon as you get to the website, the landing page has you choose the language. It supports development in all areas, not just math, but you will find math, an area for math in each one. But sharing these resources with parents helps them have appropriate expectations and recognize that their child has the capacity and the potential to be building math understanding, to be building math concepts through their everyday play and exploration and experiences. And we can help them learn to share math in the home in comfortable ways, because the ways they remember might not be comfortable. And as I said earlier, we want to acknowledge that. We don't want to belittle the feelings that they carry, but we also want to help them move past it. So sharing resources can be a great way. So we're going to think a little bit here about empowering parents and what can we give them? Well, we can share, of course, the importance of math and help them realize that it's not just about computation or advanced, algebra that we may have a memory of, but it's connecting with real world experiences. It's communicating with parents the methods that we use to teach. I just picked this to put in the environment, and look at what your child did. They're so brilliant. Recognizing, and you can put this in the environment and just watch to see what your child does. Listening to families to learn more about their experience. Parents may not be ready to embrace math learning until they've been heard, until we've acknowledged the hurt that they may carry from experiences that they've had. Introducing games to play at home. Board games, physical games. We can incorporate math conversations and concepts in any kinds of games that we play. And I'm going to share some very specific examples here in just a moment. And then share with families their child's understanding of math. I find photos and videos of play mean so much to parents, not just to give them an image of their mind of, oh, this is what my child does when I'm not here, but also to give them an image in their mind of, my child is brilliant. My child is learning. They're not, air quotes, just playing, but they're learning through their play and they're showing it. And I can see it in this video and in this photo when the teacher shares with me. So I'm going to just share with you a couple of examples before we get to our conclusion of ways that we can invite parents to bring learning into the home in a meaningful way. And I don't have it written on the slide. I'm just going to read to you and invite you to listen and imagine. And you can take notes as well if you like. So one is to play with objects, the same objects in different ways. We know that lots of toys are not as valuable as the box they came in. And Amazon boxes, of course, many of us may receive Amazon in the mail. A box can be a container, and then it can be a house, and then it can be stairs, and then it can be cut apart to be a track for a car, or it can become, as it was for my son when he was young, an X-Wing fighter from Star Wars. Children see the relationships between shapes and real-world objects when they play repetitively with the same things in different ways. And now that son who I have a very vivid image of him in his cardboard X-Wing fighter. He's 13 now, and he is known as one who can create anything with cardboard and tape. But it started early, and they didn't used to all stay together. Now he's 13 and he uses duct tape. They all stay together. Okay, another example. Play with the same toys again and again. We learn by repetition. Mm-hmm. You might be tired of reading the same book over and over. They are not tired of it. Their brain is still working it out. You might be tired of playing with the same toy for the 100th time. If they are asking to play with it, their brain is still working it out. And so recognizing that we can play with the same things over and over, and we can play with them in different ways. Blocks, sand, water lend themselves to infinite numbers of ways to be played with. Know that less is more. Sometimes we can feel the need to purchase this toy and purchase that toy, and they all do one thing. And the truth is, when we get some of those things out of the way that just do one thing, children's mathematical and creativity will increase because they have to think. They have to use their imagination, and the feedback and the joy they get from using their imagination is far greater than the joy they get in doing the one thing. You know, those single-use toys, they go on the shelf pretty quickly once they're purchased, and they're more expensive too. So out those go. You choose, but okay, next one. Count your playful actions. So when you're bouncing a balloon in the air, you can count how many times and how many times it goes. How many times can you skip rope? And then there's motivation for those competitive children to keep going, do it more, do it again. How many more times can we do it? Play games, card games, computer games, board games. Can we count the dots on the cards? How many spaces do we move? And we know one-to-one correspondence doesn't come, first. That's not the earliest skill to come. So it's okay in the board game if they're counting and they're going more spaces. We provide that parallel talk. We describe what they're doing, and we can point out when it's needed. Oh, you actually went 2 spaces, go back 1. But we decide in the moment what's important to follow up with and what's not in that moment. Counting helps connect that one-to-one correspondence and representation. Playing active games, the brain works differently when you're moving. And so if you're tossing a beanbag, counting while you're tossing a beanbag is so much more effective than counting when you're looking at, I keep saying flashcards. I apologize if that's, I won't apologize. Simon Says it's an active game. Activity engages the brain differently. So if we can engage our mathematical conversations, our questions when we're moving, all the better. These build the foundations that we want children to build, because later when they get into higher level math, they have the hooks in the brain to add the new information on, to consolidate the new information that they receive. Also discuss mathematics playfully. Help them see it in their play. Talk about symmetry. It's okay. Young children can learn the word symmetry. Distances. Oh, how far is that? Do you think I can reach that in 1 step? How many steps will it take me to get over there? And of course, young children always think our steps are bigger than they are. So that's always fun to estimate and find out. So lots and lots of ways that we can incorporate math in our conversations. And of course, I just verbally gave you a lot. In the 5-hour workshop, this is going to be some time. There's going to be, examples in your workbook and activities to try out some of these games. Workshops in a conference, we always have that little time.
Sorry, may I add one more? Yeah, thank you. I encourage you to include the parents in the way that Corey said, empowering parents. When the parent comes to pick up the child, please have a math conversation. Like, oh, you know what? Haven't shared with me that you went to, I don't know, McDonald's, and she or he ate one hamburger. So, and show the parents how easy it is to introduce mathematical concept with the little teens. So, and that conversation in front of the child is a key for support the child and for support the parents, and tell them and share them what the child said positive about the activities that they used to do at home. Mm-hmm. So it's one that I want to.
Wonderful. Thank you. And actually, before I get to the conclusion, sorry, Krista, we're throwing you off. Keep throwing in a little bit on empowering the parents. I'm just going to share one more thing before we get to the conclusion. Another great way to model some of this mathematical thinking and talking and setting up the environment is for parent events, which I know, having come through COVID over the last couple of years, having parents in the program hasn't been the case for a while. And I know different programs are in different places at this time, whether parents can come in or not. But when we're able, or even virtually, to have parent events, family events, where we can set up some of these materials that we know children love to engage in, and we can just invite parents to play with their children in our space. Mm-hmm. And then we can use the language. Oh, I see that you put the yellow one on top. Yesterday you put the blue one on top. That one's taller. Just noticing and making comments about what we see. Then we can help parents know, maybe after the fact, or in a little work, a note of some sort that we can send home. We can highlight the examples that we gave. When you heard me say this, here's what it was supporting. And the reason I point that last little bit out is oftentimes we can feel that we're modeling a best practice, but if the person we're modeling for doesn't know that we're modeling for them, they may not pick it up. And so if we have the events where we're modeling that language for the parents, and then we can highlight for them, mm-hmm. If you heard me say this is the reason I said it. Mm-hmm. There's a method to my magic. Then the modeling is more meaningful, and they're better able to take it with them. That was a bonus. That was bonus for the empowering. Okay, finally, our conclusion. We're going to wrap up today. We have 10 minutes left, so we'll have a little time at the end to wrap up, Krista, and perhaps have any questions. Mm-hmm. So the goal of today's workshop was to explore mathematical learning and its relevance and integration in real-world events. Math surrounds us. When we teach higher level mathematics, it requires being intentional, having good observation skills, providing creative and engaging materials related to the children's interests, of course, an inviting environment, as well as engaging children in conversations. So the skills that we have to hone are selecting the materials, observing what's happening in their play, noticing how their play may connect with the developmental strands that we're wanting to support, and being able to engage with conversation, comments, parallel talk, questions that allow the child to stay engaged, to stay exploring in their play, not draw them out of it, but to simply just support them as they go, and to provide a foundation. We are most effective in helping young children construct math knowledge when we assume the role of facilitator. And all of those things that I just described, selecting the materials that go in the environment, how are they arranged, what questions will I ask, fine-tuning the lens that I see to observe, those are all skills that allow me to be an effective facilitator. And they don't happen overnight. So, Monica mentioned, oh, you can take these questions on Monday. I invite you, take the questions on Monday or support another provider in using those questions on Monday. And that's a starting point. You start with a script, and then you start to build the skill of seeing and using the questions. And so I hope that as we've gone through today, you have some, what I vision is like a tree with lots of fruit. And I hope that as you walk away, you feel like you can grab some of the fruit and put it in your basket and then taste it before it rots. But that each of you may pick different fruit based on whatever role you play. And, the different fruit may taste differently to some of you based on the role you play in your own experiences, but taste it and give it a try. And then you make your own fruit salad. I like tropical myself. So that said, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today. And I think, Krista, you had a little something here at the end.
I do. Yeah. Thank you so much, Corey and Monica. I know we can't hear the audience, but they are probably quietly clapping from their own computers as they've joined in. There's lots of thanks in the chat that came through. So we appreciate your support of this workshop, and we're happy that you found it meaningful and helpful. I do want to take us back to our Family Childcare at its Best website and just end our time here together to walk you through. Here we go. I want to walk you through, once you get to the website, and I dropped it in the chat, you can navigate over to the topics, and we have some lovely illustrated cards that show you all of our 21 topics. You can sort by how long of a workshop you're looking for. Most of them, like this one, is 5 hours long. We do have a couple that are a little bit longer that are 10 or 15 hours. You can sort by that. If you are looking for a workshop in a language other than English, we currently have workshops translated into Chinese, Russian, and Spanish. So you can apply that filter and look there as well. And just wanted to emphasize that Family Childcare at its Best is a comprehensive service provider translating current research into developmentally appropriate practice. So you hear quite a bit of that shared from Corey and Monica today. We want to recognize that family childcare providers are a critical source of support for working families. The Family Childcare at its Best curriculum blends competencies with the experiences of parents and professionals and scholarly research. This blend contributes to the quality of care and education offered to infants and young children through the delivery of workshops for early learning and care providers. So again, we will be taking requests for workshops, the direct service workshops, starting this August. We will be sending out information through various listservs. So if you are connected to Quality Counts California, the emails they send out on Friday, we send information out through them. We also send information out through the First Five Network, Planning Council networks, and the R&Rs network. So hope to see you all soon, either as participants in one of our workshops, or perhaps you may be interested in going through one of our training of facilitators. So thank you all so much for your time today, and we hope you enjoy the rest of your afternoon. And we will take the last few minutes that we have here. We have 5 minutes left, so we'll keep the chat open. If anyone has any questions, we'll be happy to entertain questions in chat. Know that we wish very deeply we could just turn on your microphones and hear from all of you, but given the constraints here, we will work with chat. So thank you. Thank you all for your warm wishes. I'm not seeing any questions coming through in chat, so we will offer you the gift of time because I believe there is one more round of workshops. So we'll go ahead and close 3.5 minutes early, and perhaps you have time to go get a glass of water and attend to your own needs before your next session. Take care, everyone, and have a wonderful weekend.
Goodbye. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Bye-bye.